Greetings, YouTube. It's your favorite DM Fishsuit here, and your favorite player, Vlor of the Spark. Welcome to
That's
Unconscious
me.
and Dying. Do you know what episode this is, Vlor? This is a pop quiz.
13.
No, it's episode 9.
Oh.
it's episode
Oh, I was probably looking at
9. Probably looking at
rhyme.
Yeah, I think we just did rhyme. No, is it? I don't know.
I think it's like
We play a lot of
14 that we just
D&D.
did.
If you guys are just tuning in for the very first time, we are live. First of all, we're live on Twitch, so you can watch this every other Sunday. We don't really have a dedicated start time for this, but it's usually around 9. Whenever Vlor gets his ass out of bed is basically when we start this podcast, because I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning.
It's lucky if I get up.
But if you're just tuning in, we have 2 different campaigns that we stream live on my Twitch channel. The first is, which you can see behind me here, is Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden. That's our newest campaign. We just started that back in September. And that's been really fun. And then we also play another campaign that's coming to its twilight days, the Lost Mine of Phandelver, which it's very likely that we're going to finish that in 1 or 2 more sessions. Then we're going to actually move on to our brand new campaign, which is going to be Storm King's Thunder. If you like anything we're doing here on YouTube, all the sessions are uploaded to YouTube, so please drop the subscription on YouTube, or you can hop on over to my Twitch channel. Description in the link in the description below, and drop the follow there, and you can watch these sessions as they happen live. Unconscious and Dying is our podcast where we talk about some of the stuff that happened in our 2 campaigns, and I'm the DM, of course, and then Vlora is one of the players, so we get some fun insight into what happens in our D&D 5e sessions. Vlora, how have you been, dude? It's always nice to spend a Sunday morning talking about D&D with you, my friend.
Yeah, I've been good. Been busy though. Home renovations, gotta love them.
Yeah, and well, you're about to take a trip here as well, right? We're about to see. I guess it's going to be Azrael from a undisclosed third-party location.
Yeah. Spring break. So I'm gonna go see my family and stuff like that. And actually, my birthday is on Saturday, so I'll be driving on my birthday. So
Well, happy early birthday!
well, thank you.
Happy driving on your birthday. How long does it take you're driving to Alabama?
Yep.
That's how it's
It takes
pronounced,
me
right?
about 11 hours. I usually leave about 1 o'clock in the morning. That way there's no traffic. So
Alabama, the Dugan's Hole of the South, which is a great segue into our campaign here. When we last left our players in Icewind Dale, they were staring down the tusks of a giant mammoth.
sea turtle.
A mammoth sea turtle. Can you imagine if it really was a sea turtle? So I replaced the mammoth token with the sea turtle, and I'll show you guys the original token, which really isn't anything to look at. Like, first of all, I think Wizards of the Coast has done an amazing job with this. So let me say that with a caveat first, is that I think they've done a great job with this. However, this is an adventure that was years and years in the making, with brand new fun creatures, and then this is the token that they give us for one of the coolest creatures in the game, which is this massive awakened mammoth.
That's horrible.
This is the token. So, like, come on, Wizards. I paid fucking $50 for this. Like, you can't have somebody draw a picture of a goddamn mammoth? Like, I could have spent 10 minutes online and found a picture of a mammoth, but I didn't actually think of it, and so that's on me, I guess. But in any case, sorry, a little salty there. But in any case, we have, oh yeah, you guys were staring down the mammoth, and we got a little bit at the beginning of this session. We got a little bit of Lordy, Geordie lore. What did you think of the lore, and what did you take away from the lore?
So I enjoy all of the lore that you spit for this for these campaigns. If anybody is gonna watch or thinking about watching any of the episodes, I would recommend watching it just for the lore. If nothing else, they're amazing. I love the cuts to the different areas and the descriptions. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, buddy.
The one with Geordie was a bit how would you say, um, it, it had some things in there that kind of gave you some ideas of what was going on, but not quite enough for you to have the full story. So I thought it was great because it left you wanting more.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this piece of lore. Really, really enjoyed it. You're right though. It definitely it wet your lips a little bit, but it did you
Yeah,
did not get a whole lot. So the lore associated with Geordie for this particular sessions, we got a flashback for Geordie where he was talking to a couple of dwarves. We saw Geordie. He was like beat up very badly in this flashback. He was eyes swollen shut, bloody nose, bruises on his face, black eyes. Was he's not the like confident sort of Geordie that we know from the campaign so far. He was definitely just this kind of broken person, and he was talking to these two dwarves who were very much like, "It's your fault. It's your fault." And Geordie didn't have
yeah,
anything to say about it. He didn't. He couldn't. He had nothing to say. He had no comeback. So, and basically, he was the male dwarf that he was talking to was like, get out. I don't want to see your face again. We won't, I think he said, we won't piss on you if you're frozen on the side of the road, on the side of the east
yeah,
road. And so Geordie backs away and he leaves, and we get this scene of him running through these dwarven mines. There's sparks in the background, and we can see the smithing happen in these underground tunnels, and he finally busts out onto the surface, to the snow-covered surface, and he pulls something from his jacket pocket, and he looks down at it, and he's clearly like sort of horrified by it. He's been carrying it with him, and we as the audience don't see what that thing is. But just as that's happening, he reels back as if he's going to throw it away, and just as that's happening, a giant bird flies through the impossibly clear night sky with a rider on its back, and he puts the thing back in his pocket and he stumbles toward after where the rider went. That was kind of the last we saw of it. I didn't actually go back and watch this, but Jackson, who plays Geordie, was like, he's like, I didn't get it what the rider and the bird was until after you, like a few seconds after you had basically gone back and we had finished this little piece of story. But did you understand what was happening, Valor? Did you get that part of it?
nope,
Okay. Do you still not get it?
nope.
Okay, so I won't.
I figured it was a Lord of the Rings thing.
All right, so I won't give away anything else then.
So, is it specific to what Geordie, his backstory?
No,
Oh,
no, it's not. But you know what? This is a long campaign, and so I'm sure we'll learn more about that. But yeah, thanks, Flora. That's very high praise, dude. I spent a lot of time on this. A lot of times, the synthesis of these comes from you telling me about your character's backstory, and then me talking with you about your ideas for directions for your character, and that changes pretty frequently too during the campaign. Like after you get a feel, after you've played the character for a while, like what they're gonna do and things like that. So, or like what direction they want to take. And so Jackson had some really fun ideas for his character, and so this is something that I've been thinking about. Just basically, I think what happens is I write a lot of it in my head before I come down and sit down and type it all out.
yeah,
And do it that
yeah.
way. But thanks. I think these are really fun too, and I think it adds to the story. And like I said, it's some of that stuff is a mystery for you guys. Some of the stuff is not a mystery for Jackson, but it's like introducing that a little chunk at a time to you guys as to the adventurers that you're fighting with and stuff. So
Yeah, well, the other thing is that having the idea of it in our heads and then having you flesh it out and make it an event that actually happened kind of changes us a little bit as well when we're trying to play our character and like, wow, yeah, didn't think of it like that. Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit different than what I was originally thinking,
I
but
think that
better.
that is particularly. I could see that particularly in Azerol for our
Yeah,
Lost Mine of Fandelver campaign, because we gave him a pretty significant piece of like backstory flashback type lore, and it changed the game. I mean, it did change the game for your character in quite a lot of ways. So, but we'll talk about that other campaign. You know, we'll talk about it. First things first, though, is that we had this pretty tough fight with a mammoth. Let me take a look at. We'll pull up Norsu's stat block here. So a couple of things that I couldn't do here, which I really wanted to do, was trampling charge. So this is if the mammoth actually charges at you, and you have to get a 20-foot run. And you guys had kind of surrounded him, or were close enough to him by the time he went to where it's like this was a fight that was all about initiative. And I think that Norsu rolled really poorly on initiative, and so I didn't get to go and do some of this stuff. But I did get a couple of good gores in. That's a 4d8 plus 7. Also, the gore is a melee attack plus 10. So this is, as you can see, this is a CR6 creature. Had you guys faced this without the townspeople, which is definitely possible, right? I mean, you could have followed the wolves right up here without heading into Dugan's Hole and fought this without any backup. That certainly would have been a lot harder than with the additional. I think you ended up with 5 or 6 additional people here. So that made it a little bit easier, but you can see that he's no joke. Like, but what do you recall about this fight?
I recall the dice gods hating me.
Yeah, you had some tough dice god stuff here for sure.
I also remember a guy being turned into a pile of goo.
One of the townspeople got, triple his maximum HP. I mean, he was just eviscerated.
Yeah, there was definitely some highs and lows, and this is where our first clip would come in, with Kindar trying something that was pretty smart.
We were all, I think, hoping maybe that this would work. Is this it? No.
Yeah.
Let me try to find it.
It's the untitled one.
Yeah, I know. Just this is an imperfect science chat, so bear with me as I try to find this clip. So it's got to be this one. No, this one. No, where is it? Here we go. Here's the clip.
And the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or follow the command on its next turn.
All right, not its best save. Natural 20. Natural 20 for a total of 20. Because he has no wisdom bonus.
So then.
I just saw the entire party deflate. Yeah, so I wanted to include that clip specifically, Vlor, because like I said in the clip, this was Kindar was trying to command the mammoth, and spoiler alert, he did eventually get a command off next turn. But it's a pretty significant resource investment for basically, I would say, right now I see Kindar as sort of the party's main debuffer. Do you think that's fair? Because he's not been a lot of direct damage. He's really been sort of battlefield control, more or less.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
And so it's a pretty significant resource investment for your main sort of debuff to spend a turn and fail like that. But he did eventually get a command off, but it was funny because everybody was like, you could just see everybody just deflate so much. During this fight also, Gusto had an attempt. This is where the dice gods came into play again here. You were reasoning with him, or remind me?
Yeah, so basically I took a look at the wolves first because I had a suspicion that they were using us for something else. And with the mammoth running out and yelling, "It's your fault, you did it," I kind of was putting together that these wolves did it and they were looking for someone to take out this mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran up to the mammoth and was like, listen to me, but not in a tiny fairy voice, and was just trying to get him to hear that we didn't do it.
Right.
We just got here.
So this might add insult to injury here.
It does.
Lore, but what you wanted to do is actually built into the adventure. So sometimes and if you're new to DMing, or if you're new to D&D, your players in D&D can try anything. The DM motto is, well, you can try. And a lot of times it's on the DM to sort of make up something if something succeeds, especially if it succeeds, rather than if it fails, something that's unintended. But reasoning with Norsu is actually something that's built into the adventure. So it is definitely possible to reason with Norsu and avoid or at least drastically change this this whole event, this whole section, basically.
As long as you don't roll a natural one.
Yeah, was it a natural one? I couldn't quite remember, but I knew.
I'm pretty sure it was a natural one.
I knew that it was pretty rough. So I just wanted to give you a peek behind the curtain here. I know that Gamer Heroine's laughing somewhere because she says that I say peek behind the curtain.
She's always trying to peek behind the curtain.
There's two ways to deal with Norsu. One is that you can lie to it. So that would require a deception check. Basically, you could have walked in and said, "We didn't kill your master, but we will vow to avenge. We're here to avenge his death." And so that would be one way that's built in where you could approach this, and that would have been a deception check. And then the other was
would have been better.
The other, which is what you tried, is to say, we didn't do this, or we're here to honor your fallen master, or we'll help you in some way, etc. And was of course a persuasion check.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess the DC on these checks, Floor? You're gonna cry tears of blood when you hear the DC.
It's probably like a 10 or a 15.
It's a 12.
A 12? Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's horrible. That is horrible.
It's a DC 12 charisma and or deception or persuasion or deception check. So, like, if you ever are in doubt as a player that you're doing the wrong thing because the thing that you tried failed, just think that it's all a roll of the dice. And that's why we play the game, is to let the dice decide the outcome of some of these things. So without too much else, we did have a great command. Kindar did get off a great command, and during this fight also Cleo was without her magics, and so she was viciously mocking. She got a couple good ones off, I think. Kindar had a command which basically took Norsu out of the fight for a full round, and that was enough for the party to really get in there and finish him off. But not without Gusto being knocked unconscious and dying first. Maybe just unconscious.
Yeah.
After the fight was over, you guys were like... The wolves were basically like... Get out.
Of here.
Yeah. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate a little bit that and I read this so many times to try to get a feel for how to proceed as the DM from this point forward, but there wasn't a lot of motivation for what the wolves were going to want to do after this fight had completed, and so I really struggled a lot. And if you watch the session, you can see me struggling to try to figure out what information I should give you, or what the motivations for the wolves are at this point, because you've done what they want you to do, which is to kill the mammoth so that they can take over the lodge. But beyond that, it was kind of like you guys are asking a bunch of questions that I really wasn't anticipating. Maybe I should have anticipated more, but I was like, I don't know. The adventure part of this, the as written, was pretty blank, and so you could have fought them right then and there, but with Gusto unconscious and the party was in pretty rough shape, you decided to say, like, oh, okay, the lodge is all yours, even though you knew, I think through a series of checks, that the wolves were still gonna be terrorizing the townspeople. Like nothing was gonna have changed, basically.
Yeah, Kindar's natural 20.
Yeah, and so so he did a basically a sense motive or whatever on the wolves and was like, yeah, they're lying. They're in charge, so it's gonna be maybe even worse.
Yeah.
You hauled your asses back to Dugan's Hole. And Jackson had some good insight here for Edgra, who probably would have wanted to fight here, especially because one of the townspeople was killed right in front of her. But again, I was a little flummoxed by this section because I was trying to desperately to figure out, like, well, what would the wolves do in this situation? I just didn't know. And in some ways, I really wanted there to just be the fight right then to try to just get it through, because the fight I felt like was going to be inevitable, and so it was kind of like, all right, we're going to go back to Dugan's Hole and get back out there, but I let that happen for a couple of reasons, basically to give the party a chance to rest, which you guys desperately needed, and then
personally, I was just hoping for a short rest. 1 hour for me to gain a hit point, and then another hour for me to be able to roll my hit dice. And then we could have went right back out there.
I think the problem with that was that Kindar had basically used all magic in this fight against the mammoth. And really, like, the fact that he used his magic helped you win the fight. So it wasn't like, oh, he wasted a bunch of his spell slots. It was very much like, without that command, Norsu gets another full round of attacks off, and, like, that's scary. Yeah. That was pretty scary, what he did to one of the townspeople. Also, Cleo gets her magic back after this long rest that you take in Dugan's Hole, so that was pretty valuable. Yeah. And you get the benefit of, full HP, even though you might have gotten there otherwise. Also, you get a couple more townspeople to drag back up there with you, because the people who took the kids back to town made it, and so they came back out with you. Once you got back into town, the mom of the kids comes out and hands Kindar a great I think it's a wondrous item. The Boots of the Winterlands. Let's see if it's a wondrous item. It is wondrous item. Boots of the Winterlands. That's what they look like there. I should share this with the players just in case you didn't already have that.
Those
resistance,
are nice looking boots.
Resistance to cold damage. Ignore difficult terrain and ice or snow. I mean, great items. Like, you can go down. You can tolerate temperatures as low as negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So
I think we also have some info on it in the clip. Maybe not. Maybe the clip is right after.
Maybe it's time for a little clipperoo, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is this called Thanks for the Boots?
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a leading clip. Everybody will see why later.
All right, here we go. Resistance to cold damage is the keywords on those bad boys.
Kindar takes them.
Episode 2.
Kindar takes them from her and says, "Thank you so much, ma'am. Oh
no, Twitch.
Her husband?
Not like this.
Her brother.
We'll honor your brother with these and make sure that these are put to good use. I know all about these. Seen them throughout my travels, so thank you so much.
You've already honored our town and honored my family. It's the least I can do. We got some more of my great southern accent in there, Floor. So yeah, she gives him these boots, and he's like, "I'll honor you." And this leads into one of the next sections, which is, so just keep that in mind as we move on. And I promise you, I'm going to get better with these clips. We'll be able to work these clips into the podcast easier and easier every time. Cleo wakes up the next morning also, and she is cleansed. She feels the magic running through her. And so we found out, and we talked a little bit there in the session about the nature of the curse.
I like that too.
Which part?
Like discussing the curse and stuff like that. I mean, it's with the more important curses or things like that. Maybe we don't discuss it like that, but with a curse like this, where it was broken fairly easily, I like the fact that we found out what it was. We talked about it. I think that works for players as well. as the audience.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Boom. Boom Byron out there in chat. Um, so you know, it's always weighing how much information to give the players either during the session or in this even, right? Like to talk to you about this. Like I know that I can pull up Norsu's stats because he's a named unique character and you're not going to face another Norsu, and so I can talk about what you could have done with him, but it's always kind of weighing the options as to what to do with stuff like this. But we found out basically that, like you said, that the curse was the curse affected her ability to regain gain the benefits of a long rest. And so the fact that she got this curse when she had no spell slots available, which I made absolutely, if you go back and watch, I made absolutely certain that when she went to bed that night that she had 0 spell slots available. I even specifically asked. So, you know, like some of the questions I ask you during the campaign are completely, absolutely innocuous, and some of them have so much bearing on the rest of the campaign that it's, you know, you're never going to know when that stupid little question that I ask you is going to be like really important or just stupid. And so
we had another one of those moments.
Yes, we absolutely did have another one of those moments that, you know, that didn't it result in a player death, but down the line, maybe it would.
Yeah.
So Cleo, so she never had received the benefits of the long rest, but she drank some of that purple drank, and she got her curse removed. Although you didn't know that until she got the second, you know, of her long rests.
We've got a whole barrel of that.
You do. So so you will head back up here to the lodge, and it is I don't feel like the tactics were exactly I don't feel like you worked too much on the tactics here. Tell me your memory of what you guys are going to be doing here, and exactly just talk to us about how you approached it as a group.
I tell you, we did talk about it quite a bit.
You did. Which is why I was surprised by the sort of lack of like organization as you headed in.
Well, I was under the impression that we were going to go in quietly to try and sneak up on them and catch them by surprise. You were being a little sneaky on that, though. But we were going to leave some people at the front so that we didn't get flanked, and ended up only having one guy there. And we didn't do very well on the stealth, I don't believe.
I think everybody failed the stealth.
Yeah, and so it was like, all right, we'll just run in. Plan B, just charge. I can tell you that at the time, Gusto was pissed. He knew something was up with those wolves, and the fact that he was trying to save the mammoth and then got knocked unconscious, the only person trying to save the mammoth, and then what he said was true, and he was not happy. At that point, he was like, you know what, screw it, done, just go in.
So as you guys are walking in here, I think this might lead into one of the clips here. I asked one of those questions that I was just talking about, Lore, which is seems like probably kind of an innocuous question at the time. Let's watch the clip.
Shut.
All right. Did anybody put on the boots, by the way, Kindar? Did you put the boots on, or are you just carrying them?
I grabbed them and put them in my bag.
Okay. Why would you put them on? I mean, they're just cold resistance boots.
I have to say, I would not have second guessed you asking that. If you hadn't done that second piece at the end, I wouldn't have second guessed it at all. You know, after that, I was like, well, that's not weird at all.
Oh yeah, and I think at that point everybody goes, oh shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know, you're thinking about, I guess it's all about trying to expect the unexpected in a lot of ways. This game in general is sort of, you can, you know, the best laid plans of mice and barbarians oft go awry. But in any case, you do walk in here after that little question. Is anybody wearing the boots? Kindar says, "No, they're in my bag." I'm like, why are they in your bag? But you walk in here. It's the male wolf, and that's the only wolf you see. And he is like, "All right, well, you want to get fucked up? You shouldn't have come back here because it's going to happen." And you guys are really far away when the fight actually triggers, and so you have to everybody has to spend like a decent amount of the first turn and a half to try to just close the distance on this wolf.
Yep.
And you're lucky for you is he kind of has to do a similar thing. You guys get into this combat, and the wolf, eventually the genesis of the question of are you wearing the cold resistance boots comes to light, because the wolf has like an icy breath weapon that it's able to use. And so you guys get into this kind of formation, and tactically this probably wasn't the soundest idea, was to run into the middle of you guys, but as far as do the most amount of damage to the party as possible, I hit 6 different characters with this AoE of ice breath. I think Kindar goes down. I think that maybe like Gusto just barely makes it. Did you take it at all? I can't remember.
I took half damage because I passed the save. So I still had like half my health.
Leo takes damage on this. 2 of the townspeople, I think, are maybe unconscious and dying. I can't even remember.
Yeah, my 2 dudes.
Yeah, your 2 dudes are unconscious right now. So I mean, it's it was really powerful, and with the cold resistance, I think we went back and looked at it and said, that if Kindar was wearing the boots, he would have still been standing. So lesson learned. Lesson learned. The other kind of surprise thing that happens during this fight is that maybe it wasn't a super surprise, but the female wolf flanks you, and I'm pretty sure there were a couple people in the party called that was something like that was going to happen.
Yeah.
If you guys had not failed the stealth check, or if only a few of you had gone in directly like this, then it would have been a little bit more of a fair fight. But now that you know that they have this breath weapon, maybe that's even scarier, because you guys get lined up like you did. You might not have known that was coming, and you take 2 breath weapons back to back. That could be devastating for the party. So
yeah.
You dealt with Kanan fairly well. Edgra is very powerful. That's the character, the town speaker of Dugan's Hole that Jackson is controlling. She's very powerful.
I think from what Jackson was saying is that her stats are better than his.
Yeah, I mean, she's got 58 HP. She's got a double attack with a +6 or 8 longsword or something. It's pretty decent.
She must be level 5.
She's got a decent stat block. But she slays the wolf, and I think she also got the killing blow on the mammoth, if I'm not mistaken. So Edgar levels up.
I think this was a very difficult situation for Gusto as well, because Kindar was down right beside him, and he was just so pissed at the wolf for what happened. But he had to make that choice. Do I hit the wolf with a powerful guiding bolt to kill him? Or do I heal Kindar?
And you chose to heal Kindar, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a tough choice, I think, because Gusto, being the Air Ganassi, can have a bit of a temper. And it doesn't help that the Stormlord is on that side. But I think he, I felt like I played it well to have that, and he chose his companion over killing something.
Yeah, and that might be a turning point too for that relationship between those 2 characters, which has not always been, super friendly, right?
Yeah.
So, you guys have been in a few combats now, but these last 2 combats have definitely been your most challenging, I would say, from just a technical standpoint, CR wise, the challenge has been higher. I mean, I'm not going to show you stat blocks for these wolves or anything because one of them still lives, and we don't really know what's going to happen with that yet. But what happens, though, is that the female comes around. She's real far away from the rest of the party because she's flanking, and she flanks some of your townspeople back there. And one guy in particular got the brunt of her anger. So she sees her brother. This is the Corin is the name of the female wolf, and she sees Cain and her brother die. Makes a grapple against the townsperson who's still alive, barely. I mean, he's got like 3 hit points or something like that. Let me check. I can actually tell you. Yeah, 2 hit points. Grapples this guy in her massive mouth. These are giant wolves, and runs away. And that was where we left the session. Was this happening? So I'm excited to see the conclusion. What I can only guess is going to be the conclusion of sort of this piece of quest here at the Frost Giants Lodge, and you got some fun stuff coming up too. So yeah, it was a great ending. I agree, Book Fairy. And you were like, well, how much movement do these wolves have? It's like a lot. They have a lot. They can move very far.
Yeah, plus they had their regular movement, and then they had their action movement, and then
yeah. So they got a ton of movement, so she can definitely get away. And I think that Jackson had said something like that too.
Yeah, if I was close enough to see out that front, I could have hit it with a guiding bolt. But other than that,
yeah, I mean, at this point, Gusto would have to double move to get up to the mouth of the lodge, and by then,
and still not get there.
Right, and by then she'd be so far away with this poor man.
Yeah.
He's like, y'all! So our next session of Rime of the Frostmaiden is actually tomorrow. That is March 8th, and that'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so looking forward to that, Floor. And let's shift gears to our other campaign, which is has a very different feel to it than that campaign. Than Icewind Dale. And so this second campaign is, of course, our Lost Mine of Phandelver. The poor year-long Lost Mine of Phandelver. It's meant to be, I think the Lost Mine is meant to be like a 6-session game. We are entering session like 18 or 19 of this right now. When we last left off Lost Mine, you guys had a I see the whale. The killer whale. You guys had a probably some of the most perilous situations that you'd been in quite some time, at least, with this party, who's very powerful. There was some talk we had months ago, Vor, even further back, honestly, like almost, 10 months ago, when Arlen died, that the composition of this party might really pose a challenge to the completion of this adventure with no real sort of tank.
Yeah.
And that hasn't really come to fruition because the party has been so powerful. I would say the power is mainly in Droop. I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say that Droop is a tiny murder machine.
He's OP.
He's super OP. He's very, very powerful. Probably one of the most powerful characters that I've ever DM'd for in D&D, honestly. Yeah, very, very powerful. And so you guys have gotten by on, the shoulders of Droop, so to speak. Not to say that the rest of the party is dog shit or anything, but it's just Droop is so powerful that he can... You prioritize getting Droop up to the thing that you want to kill, and then he kills it. That's how this has worked. But you had a couple of things happen here last session. You can catch up on those in Unconscious and Dying. But we started up here in what I described to you at the very beginning of the session, which was the boss chamber. You guys might not have known that, but as written, you guys walked into Lost Mine of Phandelver, skipped everything else, and walked straight to where the boss normally is, which I think is pretty funny. But of course, listen, that's not going to happen in a fish suit campaign. You're just not going to walk up to where the boss is.
We were trying to get this campaign over with.
Yeah, trying to move on. Really looking forward to Storm King's Thunder.
Yeah.
What is your now? I know for a fact that some of our other players are really gonna be really sad to leave their characters behind and move on with some new characters. Are you done with Azrael? Are you looking forward to like what is your how's your feeling about the end of this campaign?
Um, I hate Azrael. No, I don't hate him, but I am so ready to be done with him. The fact that he's so weak. Um, he's a monk, and to be honest, with his stats, it's horrible. And the fact that I took the elemental thing was, I think, one of the worst possible things that I could have done. Because he had the lack of wisdom and his dex was already so low, it just made everything about him just feeble. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it works because he's an old man.
Sure.
But for combat standpoint, I mean, yeah, he can do some damage, but I mean, you do one of the Fist of Unbroken Air, and that's all of your key points, basically. And he doesn't get any more of the features until like 5th or 6th level. So it didn't really work well for a monk. So
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Just ready to move on to
Yeah.
the next character, the next campaign. Listen, I'm looking forward to it too. Excuse me. I'm looking forward to the conclusion for some of these characters too. I'd like to, I just as we say goodbye to them, I'm excited to close some of these narratives and see what happens and where they head off to and what they do after this. We already have some ideas of what some of the characters are going to do, but I'm excited for that. I know that Gamer Heroine's it's gonna be really tough for her to say goodbye to Gamer Bardowin and Fella.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we think about it too, I had to really took a lot of convincing for me to let Gamer Heroine or to get Gamer Heroine to play Fella or to create Fella. That took a lot of convincing on my part, and it worked out great. She loves that character now, and she got some new experience with the character that she had, or a class that she hadn't played before, and so
yeah.
It's always going to be that way. It's like it's going to be sad to say goodbye to your characters, but at the same time, then you get to have some fun with a new one, and you get to do something different, something totally different, right? Something completely different.
Yeah, I think that was a great move, having that, and it allowed for backstory. It allowed for a breakaway campaign. I think it really broke things up, so it wasn't getting monotonous, especially at the start of our campaign, where a lot of things can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
We could work some things out without having to be in our current session.
Yeah, especially for Lost Mine, which is really very linear. It's just this path that you follow, right? And so it can very much feel like, okay, well, now I'm looking for A, and they're like, here's A. Now when you get to A, then you have to go find B, and then how do I find B? And you got to go talk to this guy, and this guy's like, oh, there's B. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how Lost Mine is built, and so that can and it's for new players, so I totally get it. Like, it makes perfect sense to me. Like, the way this adventure is built makes perfect sense. But I almost feel like in the process of playing Lost Mine of Phandelver, we also, as a group and me as a DM, outgrew Lost Mine of Phandelver, and so it's like we all were kind of wanted more from this campaign, which wasn't really ever built to give us more, and so we've created more. We've done a lot more with this adventure than I'm sure that a lot of groups do. We've done a lot more with it. But at the same time, as from the DM perspective, I'm ready to move on to something with a little bit more meat. I want something with a little bit more deeper lore, not all of which I have to create to satisfy what I want to get out of these campaigns. And so it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to some new characters and some new interactions, and I'm excited to do this as the new session as a podcast and stuff too, Vlor. I'm excited for that. So I think that content creation is always about consistency.
Yep.
And we've been, with the exception of missing some sessions here and there, which is just always going to happen when you're trying to get 5 people together to play a game. With the exception of missing a few sessions, we've been extremely consistent, and so I'm excited to grow this, these sessions, these stories that we're telling, especially because I feel like you can hop into the middle, and I've gotten this comment before, you can hop into the middle of a session, not have any idea what's going on, but have a good time because we're all having such a fun time with it,
Yeah.
And so, so anyway, we're talking a little bit about moving on from this campaign, but we're still in the campaign.
We haven't moved.
As a party, you guys wandered just like basically due east. And you found the genesis of Wave Echo Cave, like why Wave Echo Cave got its name, which is where this kind of underground lake of water is coming into the cave, and the waves splash against these 15, 20 foot high cliffs, and the booming echo is heard throughout the cave. You guys are being pretty careful through here, but there was not a whole lot that was dangerous. I think there was some talk about maybe getting in the water and seeing what was out here, but ultimately you were like, if I turns into a crocodile and swims out there, she's not going to be able to get back up, so we're kind of like, what's the point?
Oh yeah, I peed in the corner over there.
Oh yeah, Ezreal pees in the corner, he's really had to go, and then I don't know, there was some perception checks. This is a ridiculous campaign. If you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favor.
I don't think Droop saw it. I think he probably stepped in it.
They don't teach it at Goblin School. Droop probably smells worse than whatever you peed on in the corner there, to be fair.
Important to note, we did go and see GB and take all of her stuff.
That's right. Gamer Bardowin is unconscious, not dying, but she is experiencing some sort of malady that she's like she can't be magically healed for some reason, or she can't be healed by whatever magics you have, and so you're not really sure what's going on there, but she seems safe. The door here is barricaded. You've cleared out the entire mine behind her, and so that's you feel like she's safe. She's been there, she's sleeping. But she did have a wand of cure wounds that you went and grabbed specifically, and I think that fella might have grabbed a couple other things. You might have grabbed the backpack because your backpack exploded or something.
Yeah, I was carrying my bag hobo style with the kind of bag hanging on the
That's
staff.
right, a bindle. It was in a bindle. So you guys moved down here, down this up the stairway, I should say, and you see in the middle of this cavern sort of a man-made, it looks like a man-made structure, some man-made rooms. You get into the tiny room, the antechamber here, and you see that this room is covered with like soot and ash, and it looks like there was an explosion of some kind. And you get into this other room where I might have forgotten to use Fog of War or GM layer. But so I asked you to ignore the 3 scary creatures that you can see in the corner.
And, we have a clip of what actually happened. We didn't ignore it.
Nope, not that one. Let's try this one. Is that making monsters less scary? Oh no, it's this one. It's this one.
Yeah.
I lost it. Here we go.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Torched, and the plaster has been burned off masonry walls. In the middle of the room, a stone pedestal holds a small brazier in which an eerie green flame dances and crackles. The brazier and its pedestal appear to have been untouched by the forces that destroyed this area. Mini Bubbles losing her shit. My favorite part of that clip was Mini Bubble losing her mind.
Yeah, it went from yellow, GH talking about how I peed in there, and then it went for a censored bar because the area was nude, and then he put the word censor on it, and then he put like X's. It was great, just like a whole little thing about it.
You guys, got in here and you were fighting some pretty cool little creatures. This is the first time I've ever seen these guys. Have you ever seen one of these dudes before?
No,
Lore?
I didn't know the thing.
I didn't know this was a thing either. So these little guys are called spectators. And I just got the joke. I did not get the joke during I didn't get the joke until this very moment.
That's awesome.
Spectators. I didn't get the joke. Listen, I'm not above telling you that I didn't get the joke until just now.
It's like a big potato.
Yeah, well, listen, it only took a week and a day or whatever, but I got
Well,
it.
now that you got the joke, you can play the clip.
Wait, there's a clip?
Yeah, there's a clip. That's
Okay,
the other one.
okay.
Making monsters less scary.
All right. Let's watch the clip.
Okay. I need you to look at Discord while this goes through.
Wait, what?
I do very when it's not my turn, Fish. I do very important things.
Oh god.
Can you put it on screen?
No, I can't actually. Oh, I can drag Discord up there. I just got this. I didn't get. You can see that I was like laughing, but I didn't really get the joke. That's funny. All right. Oh yeah, post it in chat. Boom, post it in chat. We'll have it be a bonus. But check out these this stat block here, Vlor, because this is a pretty fun dude to play. Of course, I've never DM'd as a beholder either, so I imagine that my quiver of arrows as a beholder is much. My javelin quiver is much more full. But they get these eye rays. You can use 2 per turn, and so it's basically a bunch of saves on the party's behalf. You guys passed a great deal of these saves. This could have been way, way worse. But the most important things that happened in this fight, I think, were Azrael took a wounding ray, which did a massive amount of damage to him. And Fella took a confusion ray, which actually caused her to attack Droop on one of her turns. That could have been way worse too, because she rolled very low damage on Droop. But yeah, these guys are fun. 39 HP, a 14 AC. Of course, they have telepathy. That's why you could hear them in your mind. And they had these cool eye rays, which was pretty fun. I enjoyed these monsters a lot. I'm upset that you killed them so quickly.
I think it's really cool. They're basically baby beholders.
Yep.
And they look like it because a beholder usually has more eye stalks, and so they'll have more of those eye rays. And I like how they did that, where they've given them 4 eye stalks and only 4, which is like kind of half or whatever.
Yeah.
The beholder. I like that. It gives you that feel of a beholder because everybody is like, oh my god, it's a beholder.
Right.
But a little bit less scary.
Yeah, they're like cute little beholders. Also, this is a little bonus clip. During this fight, hang on, let me play this again in full screen. This is a bonus clip from Boom out in chat. This is I doing a Thunderwave. Oh, that's good. That was a Thunderwave during that fight.
Did we find out the answer to GH's question?
Which was what?
How do they wipe?
Oh yeah, what was her? She was like, "How do they wipe? They either have to get pink eye or eat ass." We're like, Jesus Christ!
It's like,
GH.
where did that even come from?
Jesus, GH. Because GH only thinks about poop all the time, poop and butts.
Well, par for the course.
You guys found probably the 2 coolest items in the game, maybe Maybe the rod of alertness was a very cool item to find, and you guys have gotten a lot of use out of that. But these two weapons that you found in here are pretty fucking baller.
Yeah.
Do you remember stuff about the bow? Talk about the bow.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't paying much attention to that, mainly because I was being a bit salty. The fact that there were items for Droop again, or we could have given it to Fella, but then she got the bow, so I was kind of salty. I wasn't paying much
Oh,
attention.
poor Azrael. He's like, Azrael grabs these items. He's like, "Give me some fucking boots. Give me some boots.
Yeah.
Give me a rod.
Oh yeah, I
give
was
me
like,
something."
no, he's not getting another item without me getting something in return. And well, of course, I didn't have any shoes on. I was like, no, give me your boots. And specifically to Droop, because he's a goblin. Azrael
He's a halfling.
has notoriously had an issue with him.
Yeah.
You
do have a couple of items from this game. You just
but I can't use it.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite work with your archetype and what Azrael does and stuff.
I got no magic, so half of the stuff I can't use.
Right. What about the poison? What's the deal with the poison staff? You can't use it for the poison aspect of it, or?
So, I'll be honest with you. I have it in the notes. It does like an extra D something of poison.
Yeah, 1d6 poison.
And I've forgotten about it.
Okay. This is how much Vlora's checked out of this campaign already, you guys.
I'll be honest with you. I have. I know that it. Let's see. Hey, look! I have a 7. It does the spider staff. It does an additional 1d6 poison damage. I don't think I'm using it though.
No, you're not. That's why I was wondering why you weren't using it.
Because the glass staff gives me a bonus to my AC.
Okay.
And because I've got such low dexterity right now, my AC is pretty crap, and I mean,
Vlora hates this character so much.
It's at that point where I'm like, you know what? I've made mistakes with building this character, and it doesn't.
Well, we love Azrael. I mean, we love him. It's just, but yeah. So
there's just not enough monk shit to save him. There
was 2 pretty well. The thing with a monk too is a lot of times the monk is. You're not really wearing armor. So there's no like cool armor that you're gonna get during these. Like you could get some cool weapons, I guess. And there was a couple of cool staves in here, but the staves just didn't specifically like do much for a monk. So I hear you. I understand. In the next room, there's 8 special monk things that will make it more fun to play your character for the last session.
No, we've encountered the special things. They try to kill us.
But you did get get the rod of alertness from Droop, so that's a great item. It's one of the best in the game, I think, actually. But you found 2 special items that the spectators were guarding in this room. One of which was a bow. I don't remember what the bow specifically was called. Hopefully Gamer or Heroine wrote it down. But it is a bow that has a string that's made of like lightning, basically. And when you fire an arrow from it, it makes it do force damage instead of piercing damage. And the arrow turns into like energy and it has a plus, whatever to attack. I think it's like impossible for Fella to miss with the bow.
I think it's like a +2 to attack and damage.
It's magical and it's crazy. And then the rapier is actually a named rapier for Droop. It's a rapier called Egregious, which is basically like the sharpest item in the world. And it can like cut through objects, and it has the chance to slice off limbs of creatures that you're fighting. And so yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that you. I hope you're still having fun, Vlor. Rather,
I am.
even though you're not loving your character as much. The good news is that it's almost over. So that question at the beginning of the podcast was very apt because I was like, "Are you gonna miss your character?" And you're like, "No, absolutely not. Can't
Nope.
wait." He's gonna
Just kill
he's
him now.
dead in a ditch. He OD'd on heroin. Azrael died forever. You guys hop it, get all that stuff. Droop is like enamored with Egregious. He's like had it out. He's looking at it. He's swinging it around like a kid swinging around like a cardboard tube. Like he's like, this is amazing.
I've
You guys
done that.
get down to this next section, and Azrael, being very careful, sees a bunch of bones on the ground here, including and it looks like human bones. Looks like they were crushed under like giant rocks. You also see the bones of like a giant steer or cow in the corner. And this, as you guys move in here, I can definitely see like the cinematics of this, because this cavern is described as having like a domed ceiling which is encrusted with gems. And so fella's got this torch, and the torch is dancing off of these gems that are sparkling in the ceiling, almost like the night sky. And so I can definitely, like, just in my mind's eye, I can see this cavern, and Azrael's picking through and looking at these bones on the ground. And meanwhile, Droop walks up to the door here, slices the hinges off the door, and kicks it down. And, well, a series of events started here that can't be undone.
Yeah, we got a little clip of the results of Droop's, I don't know, heroics.
Do you want to call him that?
No, I don't. Barging and entering. His what do they call that? Breaking and entering.
Now, what is the clip? Okay, so the clip is for the attack on I, right?
Yeah.
So let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's wait, because that's gonna it's obviously important. It's the last thing that happened here in this session. Droop kicks the door in here, and then I'm trying to find it. Because he kicks the door in, and there's a little speech. Because there's a creature in there. Actually, I think somebody did a perception check at the door, and you heard the swirling of air.
Yeah, fella. Which is perfect, because of course, fella, we played another mini campaign, and we were making like jokes and things about paper, from the rock, paper, and scissors, and that's. I feel like she would have had a little flashback to that. By the way, the sound of the swirling and things like that. I feel like that would have definitely come up for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because Fella has some mental problems as it is. Like we've seen Fella in a few combats where she's frozen up and run away inexplicably. Excuse me. Yeah. So Droop kicks the door in here after slicing the hinges with his impossibly sharp sword. And we see this shadowy ash and dust swirl together and coalesce into a creature. And he says, "Your presence is offensive to me. Your lives forfeit. My treasures are mine alone and not yours to plunder. Rise! Rise and kill these intruders." And then all these skeletons start to to assemble, including this massive skeleton in the back, which, you guys can metagame a little bit since you've encountered one of these creatures with some different players before as a skeletal minotaur, so you know that he's no joke. And the combat begins. Now, this was at the end of our session, so I'm assuming probably everybody was like, all right, well, we'll pick this up next time, I'm sure.
I was ready to go. I was like, oh, all right, we got another battle coming.
We rolled for initiative, which was going to be, obviously is very important for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The shadowy wraith beat everybody on initiative, busts through the wall, and makes a very, very devastating attack against I. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Oh, he said it.
Oh my god.
Wait, I'm not perma-dead or I'm just not dead?
You're not permanently dead. But I'm going to tell you, the situation is not great. I was very close to maximum damage. You take
Fucking rude.
29 points of necrotic damage.
Okay.
Your maximum HP is reduced by 29, meaning your maximum HP is currently 2.
What the fuck?
By the way, that means if you drop to -4, you die.
It does.
Oh
Look
my
at me, it
God.
does.
Yeah, you
Actually,
see
you
the
drop from 2
to
to
go
-2, you
from
die.
yeah,
To
okay,
-2. If you take
yeah,
4
all right.
points of damage,
And
then-
you'll permanently die.
What?
Um,
What? You know, like
okay, so
the different stages.
yeah, so I'm gonna watch, because watch when I tell her the damage. 9 points of
You
necrotic
take
29 points of necrotic damage. She's like, okay.
Okay.
Your maximum HP is reduced by 29, meaning your maximum HP is currently 2. Oh no!
What the fuck?
Yeah.
By the way, that means if you drop to -4, you die.
Yeah. So I takes a devastating attack from this creature. Her maximum HP is reduced to 2. So the good news is that she's at full HP. The bad news is that the full HP is 2. So if she takes 4 points of damage, she permanently dies at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of where we are. So as this happens,
Full HP.
I, feels a shadowy hand like reach into her and basically suck the life energy from her. And we have this little vignette, this little flashback of her and her young I and her grandfather running through the woods.
Grandpa as fuck.
Grandpa again. Grandpa as fuck. That's great. In this vignette, we see I as a kid, and she definitely has the same kind of defiance as we see in adult I. Her grandfather is talking to her about, one day you're going to be a powerful druid, but you need to learn patience. And, she was like eating a bunch of mushrooms, and he's like, you don't get your power from the mushrooms, you get your power from the goddess. And you need to, you can't just throw anything and eat any old mushroom. And it's like, and she's like, well, I want to be like you. I want to do magic like you. And he's like, well, there is tale of this a special mushroom that when you bite it, you basically, when you take a bite of it, you see the threads of the world. You see the connectedness of everything. But it's a burden. It's not a blessing, it's a burden, because when you have that kind of knowledge, you want more. You want to understand more, but you can't share this knowledge with anybody, because if a second bite is taken of this transcendental mushroom, then the world itself starts to unravel. And so we shift back to this devastating attack that I just took, and her legs are buckling and she's starting to fall over, and we see something that's been there the whole time, this whole campaign. We just haven't talked about it. But if we go back and you listen and watch very carefully, actually, if we go way back,
Yeah, way back.
we go way back, when you guys encountered the Nothic in the Red Brand hideout. The Nothic reached into Ai's mind, and you guys don't know this. You guys know this as, people who were here, but your characters don't know this. That the Nothic told Ai in her head that he knew about the mushroom, that she was seeking the mushroom, something about the mushroom he knew, because he could reach into her mind and find her deepest secret. And so we've known this for a while, and she's had this, the whole campaign, but we see in her hand, as she's starting to fade out, and she feels so weak. A mushroom with a single bite mark out of it, and that's kind of where we ended the campaign, or where we ended the session. That's where we ended the campaign. So we're moving on to the next one.
Yes, finally. Now, I do remember a couple of times where she was looking at mushrooms that she found.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything about that. She does the halfling leaf, so we don't know what the mushrooms are for.
Yeah, you got some
but-
mushrooms way back in the Kragmaw hideout. Those turned out to just be like, sleepy time mushrooms. She put some red brands to sleep with. That was a fun moment. I enjoyed that quite a bit. That was a good bit of role play.
But yeah, well, what a lot of people don't know, that these backstories that have been included for this campaign were based off of the trinket table.
That's right.
At the beginning of the campaign, we rolled for trinkets. Each player has one. I have the mask, the alabaster mask. Arlen had the 2 toy soldiers. I had the mushroom, and I forget what GB had.
No, I had the sleeping cap.
Oh, the sleeping cap, yeah, that gives a good berry.
The mushroom was actually just part of Mini Bulba's original backstory for the character.
And then
GB has a couple things, one of which is like something
a broken arrow.
Yeah, one of which is like a magical arrow that she has, and we know about that because she's used it a few times. I just don't think she's found like quite a good use for it. Maybe in this campaign.
It's because she doesn't whistle.
But wait, what?
Marvel, whistling to control the arrow. To fly around.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Now that would be an item. Can you imagine? And she also has some like thing. I don't even remember what it is. It's something silly that we've never even really talked about. Something that if you look at it has like the horrors of the universe in it or something.
Oh yeah, the eggshell.
Yeah, it's like an eggshell with like a painting of a devastating
human misery,
end of days or something on it.
Yeah, like a whole bunch of human misery, I think it is.
Yeah, so.
That could so tie in with if I takes another bite.
Listen.
Just saying.
We'll see what happens. I mean, with 2 HP, let's put it this way. The Wraith is still on her. Yeah. You guys have 5 other skeletons to beat and a skeletal minotaur. The chances that I survives this combat are extremely low with that HP. Extremely.
So I had 2 thoughts for my next turn, because it's going to be very important. I was either going to put on my mask to see if I could frighten it, but with it being a wraith, I'm afraid that it's immune to fear. Don't tell me if it is.
I won't.
And then I've got the Rod of Alertness, which I could definitely plant in the ground, which would give us the bonus to AC and all that kind of stuff. So,
and it's also there's some silver lining, which is that Ai's turn is coming up soon. It's going to be the Wraith just went, then it's Skeletal Minotaur, which wouldn't make any sense for the Skeletal Minotaur to bust past 3 of you to get to her. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then it's Ai's turn. And the good news about Ai is that she can wild shape, which will give her a little bit of extra AC. That's not a guarantee that she makes it out of this fight, but it can happen.
Definitely some buffer with the HP.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of buffer, more so than exists, because right now literally 4 hit points. I mean, anything here hits you, you're dead. Anything. Yeah. I don't think there's anything here that can hit you that you wouldn't die. That would do less than 4 damage. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens here, and the end is nigh, because we are very close to finishing this off. So. I feel like we're going to finish the main quests next session, and then we might have a session where we just kind of chat about the session as a group. I think that'd be fun to sit down for an hour and just talk about everything that we did here, and then I said maybe giving out some like fun superlatives.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. That would be great. I'd like that.
To get together and maybe everybody crack open a few beers and and toast the the year-long Lost Mine campaign that we've done, and look forward to the new one. And then after that, I'm thinking like maybe 2 more sessions here of Phandelver, one where we finish, and another one where we sort of wrap it up and give everybody a good end, final chapter, a good epilogue. And then the next session after that, so probably like a month and a half from now, we'll sit down and we'll do our session 0 for Storm King's Thunder, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I've got some ideas for my character for that.
As long as it's not a halfling, whatever, it's totally fine. No halfling.
Man, you got so salty with that halfling luck.
I am so over halfling luck. I am so done with it. It's so, to have a character that can't critically fail takes away a huge part of the game for me.
Well, the one that GH did, she did critically fail.
Right, but what are the chances? It's 5% and a 5%. It's like, what a 1 in math is failing me mini ball. But what is the chances that you roll 2 identical dice rolls on a d20 in a row? It's like 1 in 400 or something like that. It's crazy. But halfling luck. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it makes any sense. It's like there has to be some consequence for rolling poorly. And if halflings had some terrible deficit to their racial abilities, then I would say like, okay, they really suck at this.
Yeah.
But they don't. They have other cool stuff too.
Well, I think with the halflings, rolling a natural 1 to begin with doesn't happen very often. So they automatically fail if it's like 10 or lower. It's just the natural 1, but then they've got another chance to fail again with 10 or lower. So
it's in the same way that a natural 20 should mean something.
Yeah,
a natural 1 should mean something too. And the fact that they just kind of do away with that for a character, and frankly, the fact that half the party is halflings is like especially devastating for me as the DM playing this, because it's like, okay, nothing bad can ever happen to these characters because they can't fail.
That was kind of you guys' fault. I said bring back Arlen.
Yeah, we should. No. Well, Arlen could have been a halfling as well. That'd be kind of funny, a halfling paladin at this point in the campaign. Yeah, you definitely had some. Yeah, this has been a fun campaign to think back on all the little decisions that we've made and how we've gotten here. So I'm excited to see the conclusion of it. Anything else to add here, Vlor?
No, not really.
All right, well, we'll see you back here tomorrow for a little bit of Rime of the Frost Maiden. We do this every other Tuesday. You can always catch it. If you're watching live on Twitch, make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, because we upload these every other Sunday. And until next time, may all your 20s be natural.
And don't pee in the corner.